Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles, and welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, where we give you guys a first perspective on things and how we see them. And in today's episode, the topic is ranking the best two-way players in the league going into the 2020-2021 season. So that's the topic I want to get into in today's video. But before we get into that, I want you guys to please make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Also, be sure to check out our Dreamerspro Podcast, which we have linked in the description below. Be on the lookout for our Dreamerspro platform that we're launching the first week of January, and also we're going to be launching our website in January, which we're pretty excited about. So be on the lookout for those things. Anyway, so let me just get into the topic here. Now, I haven't heard this list mentioned on TV. We've heard the rankings of the top ranked players going into this season, projections, which I heard the last list I saw was the ESPN top 100 list, which every year they seem to get the list. Every year they get it wrong. Every single year, it seems like they get it wrong. Every single year, they get torn apart. They get flamed for coming out with their list. And every year, they never disappoint. They keep putting out bad lists. Now, what amazes me, now, I know why ESPN talks about it, because, hell, it's their list. So they have the platform, so they're going to talk about their nonsense. But other platforms, they talk about it, and even us, we talked about it, we reacted to it. So it shows you the power of a really big platform when they create something, how it can kind of move sort of the news media needle and have most of us talking about it. But I haven't seen a list for two-way players going into this season. So I said, okay, let's cover something interesting, and then let's throw it out there and let's see what people think. Now, obviously, not everyone is going to agree with me, but that's pretty much with everything. Any channel you go to, there's always people hitting the dislike button and disagreeing. So that's part of life. Anyway, so let me just give you guys my list. Now, I do have some criteria. I have a criterion for this list. Either you've made a defensive team, an all-NBA defensive team, or you have a Defensive Player of the Year award, or you're capable of winning a Defensive Player of the Year award. So that's how I'm basing this list going into this season. So let's start off with the list here, and I'm going to start off with my man Kawhi Leonard. Now, we got some funny people in the basketball community, right? We have some funny people that are like, oh, well, what about Jamal Murray? He couldn't guard Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray, who cooked the whole playoffs. Now, let me say this. If you think that because Kawhi Leonard and these guys couldn't slow down Jamal Murray, right, that makes him a bad defensive player, and they lied. If the job he did on Giannis then must have been a fluke, but if you're telling me that Kevin Durant goes out and scores 40 on Kawhi Leonard, does that make Kawhi Leonard a bad defensive player because Kevin Durant scored 30 points or 40 points on him? Absolutely not. In the NBA, when some of these guys get hot, it's really hard to slow them down. I remember a game when Gilbert Arenas dropped 60 on the Lakers, and Kobe couldn't slow him down. He's been on 9 all-first defensive teams. Is Kobe a scrub defensive player? Michael Jordan has been on 9 all-defensive teams. Guys have gotten buckets on Jordan too, so those people that say these things, these are usually trolls and basketball novices at the very best. So you don't take these people seriously at all because their opinions really don't matter. And most of the stuff they're saying is gibberish. And the way to really solidify that is if these guys went and created a platform and they started creating content, you would see the type of dislikes and comments they'll get on their videos because most likely they'll be saying nonsense. But they feel like in one or two statements, they can come out here and say something, and then all of a sudden, oh, I know what I'm talking about, when in reality, you're just there saying a bunch of rubbish. Anyway, I got Kawhi Leonard on my list as one of the top two-way players in the NBA because the guy's been on multiple all-first defensive teams, and he has 2 Defensive Player of the Year awards, so I have nothing else to say about that. So Kawhi Leonard makes my list. Another player I got on the all-defensive team is Paul George. Paul George has been on multiple all defensive teams, and he's even been on an all defensive team. We're talking about best two-way players, and Paul George can go out there and get you 20 points per game. Kawhi Leonard last season averaged 27 points per game, or 25 plus points per, even 20 plus points per game. So I got those two players up there. I got Kawhi Leonard and I got Paul George. Another player that seems to be overlooked over and over and over again is Klay Thompson. For whatever reason, people keep overlooking Klay Thompson. There's only a very few people that really rank Klay Thompson. I think people don't realize just how good of a two-way basketball player Klay Thompson is. Klay Thompson is an elite two-way player and a two-guard in the NBA. I don't even understand it. And Klay Thompson plays lockdown defense. and he can average 20 plus points a game. One season he averaged 24.3 points a game in 2016. So the guy can get buckets. In 2019 he averaged 20 points per game for the season. So, and he's a 19 point per game scorer for his career. Like, and he's a 40% over 41% for a 3-point shooter for his career. So Klay Thompson is definitely one of the best two-way players in the NBA, no doubt about it. If you disagree, then well, that says a lot. That we already know what your basketball IQ is. Another player, although he's not such a great offensive player, but his overall package, I got to put him on this list, which is Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is one of the best two-way players in basketball and one of the most versatile players in basketball. But even last year, he made an all-first NBA team, right? Like, Ben Simmons is no joke. And if I look at his numbers, although he's not a great shooter, but he did get you 16 points per game. He can shoot 58% from the field. It's just that he's not a jump shooter. But if we're looking at two-way players that are a threat on offense to score because of his ability to get to the basket and score at the paint, especially in a fast break, he is a threat on offense. You have to pick him up on the half court, especially in fast break. Otherwise, 9 times out of 10, he will score because of his speed, his size, and his ability to get to the basket. So I definitely have Ben Simmons as one of the best two-way players going into the NBA this season. Another player that some people may not understand how good he is and don't understand really just how big of a pickup he is for the Milwaukee Bucks is Jrue Holiday. Jrue Holiday is a 6'4" point guard. At least that's what I'm seeing here, listed as 6'4", but Jrue Holiday is one of the best defensive players and two-way players in basketball. He's been on multiple all NBA defensive teams, and in 2018, he made the first. He was on the all-first NBA defensive team. So the guy can definitely defend at an elite level. But he also can get you 20 plus points a game while he's defending at that level. You know, I think in the 2018-2019 season, he averaged 21 points per game that season. Like a legitimate 21 points per game that season, shooting 35% from the three and 45% from the field. So Jrue Holiday is an amazing lockdown defender. And I don't know if you guys remember a few years ago when the New Orleans Pelicans were playing against the Portland Trailblazers. Jrue Holiday completely took Damian Lillard out of that series. Like, not out of a game, out of the series. I mean, he completely put him in his back pocket and threw away the keys. It was over, right? If you guys don't believe me, go back and look at the highlights of Jrue Holiday defending Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard, like he couldn't even do anything, and that's how they were able to beat that team. One of the reasons why they were able to beat the Portland Trailblazers that year. Another player which I think obviously is a no-brainer, which is an easy no-brainer, is Giannis Antetokounmpo. How far do you have to go? He's a defensive player of the year. How far do you have to go? Guy got you 1 steal, 1 block per game all last season. Averaged 29 points per game, 13 plus rebounds. He's been on 4 all NBA defensive teams, and he's been for the last 2 years. He's been on the all NBA first defensive team. So I don't really have to say much about Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's one of the best two-way players in basketball on offense and on defense. I don't think there's any question about that, and I don't even think I need to waste any of my time even trying to belabor that point. And finally, I'm going to end the list with Anthony Davis from the Los Angeles Lakers, who could have made a case to be the defensive player of the year last year, because I think he did average 1 steal and 1 block, which I'm going to verify shortly. Multiple-time All-Star, NBA champion. But Anthony Davis has also been a part of the All-NBA defensive team 4 out of the last 5 years, and he was on the All-First NBA defensive team just last year. He was on 2017, 18, and 20. So Anthony Davis is elite, man. He's been on multiple, all defensive teams. So the guy is just a really, really, really talented basketball player, very versatile, one of the best big men in basketball, to be honest with you, up there with Nikola Jokic and all of these guys. And it can get you 20 points per game on the other side, at least, right? Last season he averaged 26 points per game. So Anthony Davis is one of the most versatile players in the NBA, and he's one of the best two-way players in the NBA in his position. I mean, the way the guy plays defense is just astonishing. And last season, think about this: AD averaged 1.5 steals per game and 2.3 blocks per game for the season. That was that was Anthony Davis on the defensive prowess. Some people say, well, you can get steals, maybe deflections and all of that. Some guys can get steals. Allen Iverson got steals, but those blocks, you can't just write them off and say, oh, well, anybody can get block. No, you cannot. Anybody can get 2 blocks per game. Hell, not anybody can get 1 block per game. So let alone the average 2 blocks, well over 2 blocks, 2.3 blocks per game, shows you the type of defensive player that Anthony Davis is. So for me, Anthony Davis is a no-brainer, and he rounds out our our best two-way player list going into this season. So this is my list. I'm sure I left some people off, but I don't think anybody would disagree with some of all of the names that I got on this list. So what I want to know from you guys is, what do you think about the list? What do you think about the players that I listed on here? Do you think these guys deserve to be on the list? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Again, if you enjoyed the video, please make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Once again, it's just Charles here from Dreamerspro, wishing you guys an amazing day. Peace.